Good evening and welcome to APAC's 14th annual dinner. My name is Attorney Ali Hamoud. I am one of the two vice presidents of the Arab American Political Action Committee. And on behalf of the Arab American Political Action Committee and our entire family, we welcome you. We know we have to compete against Dearborn Fortson today. I'll keep you updated on the score, don't worry. As you know, APAC has been a driving force in the community for a long time. Every year, we strive to come up to a collective decision about the upcoming elections and the endorsement of candidates. For many of you who have attended our dinners in the past, you know we always try to keep our program simple, concise, entertaining, and consistent. This year, we insist on keeping this motto. Although this year I'm not joined by my co-MC from last year, Mr. Abed Hamoud, who is now a United States Attorney. We will still in keeping with our tradition, we're going to get started right away. I'm going to be short, concise, we're going to get right to the food, and like I said, I'll keep you updated on the game. I think we all agree that in the upcoming years, we all need to see change. Our government is broken and our economy is faltering. In order to achieve this change, we need to work together towards a common goal. We need to ensure that our voices and our votes are united as one. Our first speaker is a person that has dedicated her time, effort, and passion towards this goal. She is an assistant Wayne County prosecutor and the president of the Arab American Political Action Committee. Please help me welcome Mariam Bazzi.
Thank you, Ali. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, too, would like to thank you for joining us for our 14th annual dinner. That is the Arab American Political Action Committee's 14th annual dinner. It is a privilege and an honor to be in the company of such distinguished guests. The world we live in today is very different than the one that existed 1 year ago when I was up here giving the President's address. Last year, I took a moment and recognized the youth. What we have learned through the events of the past year is that they are deeply committed to their political beliefs and often at times unwavering. They have helped topple corrupt regimes, organized mass demonstrations, and fought for injustices and continue to do so both here and abroad. Regardless of whether you agree or disagree with their political and social ideologies, you can't help but be in awe of their sheer strength, will, and perseverance. I would like to ask the Arab Student Union in Dearborn, Michigan, University of Michigan, Dearborn, also the Arab Student Union from Fortson, the Arab Student Union from Wayne State University, as well as all of our APAC volunteers to stand for a moment. Good to see you guys. On behalf of APAC and everyone here, I applaud you for all that you have done and continue to do. I ask that you continue to be involved, come to our meetings, give us your input, and help us to continue to advance the cause of political and social equality, both here and across the globe. One day you will be running this organization, and one day I hope to be merely a guest at this dinner. As Abed Hamoud used to always say the same thing, and today he's not part of the program, and I know it is very difficult for him to sit still in his seat. How are you doing so far? I also want to take a moment to thank the members of APAC for their hard work this year, and particularly this election season. This was a year for local politics. There were some intense moments and some heated debates that led to the endorsements that Fadwa Alawiya will soon be getting up to announce. This was all volunteer time given to APAC, and I truly appreciate your commitment and your involvement. Without it, we would not be able to successfully advocate for the rights of this community and continue to make sure that this community is represented both locally and nationally. We have quite a year ahead of us. Next year, there are many local, state, and national races, the most notable one being the presidential race. As the president of APAC, I am telling you, if you are coming seeking our endorsement, do not come and talk politics. The Arab American community is not devoted, not cater to any one party. Our vote is not owed nor guaranteed to any one person, and it will not be given unless you can answer and address our concerns. Where are the jobs and how can we get more? What can we do about our debt, both nationally and individually? We want a fair and balanced approach in the Middle East as well as all over the world. When you are ready to answer these questions and more, we invite you not just to an endorsement interview, but rather to come and speak with the whole community in an open dialogue. I will not take any more of your time. We have a wonderful program ahead of us and a delicious dinner to follow thanks to Habib Bezi and the Vintage Bell staff. Thank you again for joining us.
Good afternoon. My name is Fadwa Alawiya, as Mariam has mentioned, and I am the chair of the Elections Day Committee. Now, you know what they say, it's never too early to start campaigning, isn't that right? All right. And maybe the most crucial part of campaigning is having the right team behind you. A team could include a variety of things. Now, people that help you with signs, people that advocate on your behalf, that have a belief and passion for what you're doing, people that do phone calls on your behalf, robocalls, people that distribute and publish literature on your behalf and go to every single poll and make sure that they are advocating for you. What many people don't know is that Aapac does just that and more, free of cost for the candidates that we endorse. Now, the endorsement process, just to give you an overview, is what I truly like to call democracy at work. To be considered, absolutely any candidate can submit a letter to our endorsement chair, to our endorsement committee chair, through writing, and the chair will schedule an interview with the candidate in front of our endorsement committee, which is a smaller group of our entire membership. And after all the candidates are interviewed, we hold a voting meeting with all the Aapac members in attendance. And this, ladies and gentlemen, can truly be one of the most heated debates, personally, that I've ever been to. These debates can last for hours. Fights will happen. People will advocate strongly for who they believe is the right candidate. And that's why I really call it democracy at work. But no matter how long the arguments go on, we all walk out of that room knowing that our voices are united for the best interest of the community as a whole. No matter what decision we come to agree upon, it's the decision that's the best for the community. And now, just to announce the 2011 candidates. On behalf of Aapac, I'd ask you to congratulate and vote for Kathleen Abdelhak for Dearborn City Council. Kathleen is in the room with us tonight. Dearborn Heights City Council. For the Dearborn School Board, we have Roxanne McDonald. Please vote for and congratulate Ms. Roxanne McDonald. Congratulations. Mr. Joseph Guido, who is actually not with us today, but he sends his good remarks for all of you. So congratulations, and please vote for him. And as to the Dearborn proposals, Aapac asks you to vote no for Proposal 1, the operating millage, vote no for Proposal 2, the library millage, and vote no for the elimination of the civil service system. Thank you, and it's a pleasure being with all of you guys today. Thank you.
I want to honor the dignitaries and officials that are with us here today. Please hold the applause till I say all the names. We have with us today George Duraney, State Rep. Sammer Jafer, Deputy Director of the Wayne County Homeland Security. Ron Amon, Director of Economic Development in Dearborn Heights. The Honorable David Turfey of the 20th District Court. Bob Constant, 16th District State Rep. Judge Mark Summers of the 19th District Court. Gary Warncheck, Chairman of the Wayne County Commissioners. Judge Richard Wygonek of the 19th District Court. Aaron Sims, who is from the NAACP, President of Wayne County. Amy Blackburn, Dearborn Board of Education. Judge Greg Bill of the 3rd Circuit. Judge Charlene Elder of the Third Circuit. We have Nabi Ayed with us tonight, of course, the Civil Rights Commissioner. Tom Berry, Dearborn Heights City Council. Deputy Chief Mike Jafer, Wayne County Sheriffs. Glenn Anderson, State Senator. Reverend Wendell Anthony, the President of the NAACP Detroit Chapter. Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Sam Salami, President of the Lebanese American Heritage Club. Diane Webb, Wayne County Commissioner. Ned Eppijan, Councilman, Dearborn Heights. I know I said that wrong, Ned. I'm sorry. I know I said that wrong. Eppijan. Ned Eppijan. Rashida Tlaib, State Rep. Patricia Broussard, Judge, Third Circuit County Court. Brenda Lawrence, who's the Mayor of Southfield. And Phil Kavanaugh of the 17th District. Kathy Abdul-Haq, who is a candidate for the Dearborn City Council, Dearborn Heights City Council. Steve Dubkowski, Dearborn Board of Education. Robert Ficano, of course, the Wayne County Executive. Azam Elder, Deputy County Executive. Dr. Sayed Taj, who's a candidate for Congress in the 11th District. And that is all. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate you guys coming. Our next speaker is a person that, of course, everybody in this room knows, the publisher of the Arab American News and the treasurer of the Arab American Political Action Committee. Please help me welcome Mr. Osama Sablini.
Whoever doesn't know who I am, please take them outside and shoot them. Well, I was hearing, I think the president of Aapac saying that we're seeking a fair and balanced views on the Middle East. How about fair and balanced views in Wayne County? By the way, I want to take this opportunity on your behalf to welcome to Aapac a dear friend of this community, Robert Ficano. Bob, we still believe in your leadership, and we are your friends. And this community does not turn its back on its friends. By the way, if it doesn't turn its back on its friends, it will never turn back on its brothers and sisters. And therefore, we stand by you, Azam Elder. And we are proud of you. And this Arab American Political Action Committee supported Bob Ficano and continues to believe in Bob Ficano's administration in Wayne County. And thank you for what you have done, Azam, for this county. I'm going to tell you some good news. First, the program is going to be very short. Now, go ahead. Second, I want to ask you on behalf of the Arab American Political Action Committee to pay for your tickets. And those who do not pay, we're going to have to send them the bill collectors to their homes. But I know that you are here because you believe in this organization, and I want to thank you on behalf of this organization for 14 years of support. Without you, we would not have accomplished what we have accomplished. Very soon, somebody took my stuff. Very soon, Dearborn Heights residents and voters will receive Aapac newsletter as in every election. We hope you encourage our community and the community at large to vote for our slate, because we take our time and we really look for the interest of Dearborn and Dearborn Heights in general. Thank you for my nephew. Here it is. So please, it's bilingual, and we have mailed it already. It's actually in the mail today, so be aware of it. Now the program is going to be very short. We have very deserving people that we would like to award. And of course, we have a very important person that we would like to hear from. I would like to help you with the awards first, and I'd like to call to the podium my dear friend, Nabi Ayad, to introduce our first awardee and also our great friend, the very Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony. But stay there until you are introduced.
I did forget a couple names. There's some people in this room that are a little too humble to sign in. I forgot Zena Al-Hassan, Magistrate, 20th District Court, which is a close friend of mine. I'm sorry, Zena. Ahmad Hamad of ADC, of course, and of the Michigan Advisory of the Civil Rights Board. And Mr. Zuhair Alawiye, ADC Greater Detroit Chapter President. I apologize for missing you. Thank you.
Osama, thank you. First, can we get a round of applause for Osama Sublani, please?
Do it.
Anyways, thank you for the heads up, Osama. I really didn't know I was presenting this award. But you know, Reverend Anthony is no stranger to the community. What can I say about Reverend Anthony? We can probably be here all day. I think that's why probably Osama surprised me, so I just cut it short and move forward, Reverend. The fact of the matter is, Reverend Anthony, president of the biggest, most powerful, largest office of the NAACP in the country. These individuals host the biggest sit-down dinner in North America, 10 to 14,000 people every year. Reverend Anthony is the president of it. He's been the president for the last 20 years. I think it may be time to retire, Reverend. He is the founder of the Fannie Lou Heimer, the political arm of the African American community. 84.7% if they endorse you, you got the vote, you're in. This is the man to talk to. He is also the pastor at the, reverend at the Fellowship Chapel, beautiful chapel. He has his own TV program. I can go on and on and on. Now everyone knows Reverend Anthony as an individual that's out there constantly doing what he does and protecting the civil rights and protecting the human dignity of all in this community and the community abroad. But what can I tell you about this about Reverend Anthony? Is this individual is truly an individual, a wonderful individual that backs his friends, stays behind his friends, does not sell out his friends. And I know a lot of you individuals don't even know that he even received the honorable and the only award that was given by the FBI last year, basically for his help in helping the Attorney General of this country, Eric Holder, and how to fight bullying and youth violence and what have you in the schools across this country. Again, I can go on and on and on. Reverend Anthony, please approach the podium. Reverend, the Community Service Award goes presented to Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony, President of the Detroit Chapter of the NAACP, in recognition and appreciation for his outstanding leadership, as well as many years of dedicated community service from the Arab American Political Action Committee.
Thank you, Nabi.
Let me say good evening to everyone and assalamu alaikum. Let me thank you for the presentation of this very significant award, and I want to say at the very outset, so I won't get shot, I do know Osama Sublani, and so give me a reprieve. I want to thank Nabi Ayad for his very generous and kind introduction and those very fine and kind rewards of words that he mentioned. I am humbled by the receiving of this award. He mentioned a number of things. One of the most proudest things that I am right now is being a new father. And we have a beautiful 4-month-old daughter, which is why my wife may not be here tonight. But let me just say this. I greet all of you in this particular time in our nation's history. Your organization is so very, very important to us and to this community. These are very critical times, excuse me, for all of us. The times are critical because they have an impact on our future. I, like you, have never known a time like this when we're challenged by so many different things socially and politically and economically. And now is not the time for the faint of heart. Now is the time for those who have strength, who have spine in their behind, and who can go straight ahead without being daunted by those things that come against them when you know you're standing on solid ground. I heard your very fine political director, indicate that you did not vote for or support people either because of their being Democrat or Republican, but you support people who have your interests at heart. And I believe that that is very, very important. I think we must support people that have our interests at heart because the stakes are too high. We live at a time when jobs are very, very important to us. We live at a time when we need economic and educational development and enhancement. We live at a time when racial diversity is not appreciated like it should be, according to what Dr. King said, by judging us no longer by the color of our skin, but rather by the content of our character. And when I look at the prospect of what may happen yet in 2012, when I look at where our nation is going, when I look at what we need to be about, I cannot afford to vote outside of my interests. When I look at the folk who are running, when I hear people talking about 999, I don't know what that means. I know right now we're at 000. When I look at people who do not understand the importance of immigration and bringing people and treating people in a way that has dignity so that the lady that stands at the harbor in New York that says, "Send me your tired and your huddled masses yearning to be free," when they want to put a wall up around this nation, I have to vote my interests. When I think of a governor that wants to tax the roads and to bring about money that would increase our ability to do road development, and yet at the same time, I see that our president already has in a bill a section that deals with roads and with infrastructure and with bills and bridges that would give us the kind of development that we need. And yet we stand at a doorway by which we must make a decision for our future and the future of our future. It is very clear to me where my interests will be in the year 2012. We cannot afford to make mistakes. We cannot afford to vote outside of our interests, because if you really look at your interests, it is very clear. When you listen to the rhetoric, when you listen to those who speak from their heart about your situation, it's got to be very clear. When I think about the words and the struggles of Dr. King, when I think about how far we've come and how far we have yet to go, I'm very clear that God did not bring us this far just to leave us where we are. So I thank you for this award, because an award presupposes two things: work that has been done and work that is yet to be done. I ain't finished yet. Thank you for awarding me, because I know I got some more work to do. God bless you, and may God keep you.
Thank you, Dr. Anton. Well, the next presentation is to a very proud community member that has really worked hard for the last 4 years in Lansing. And I meant State Representative Rashida Tlaib. But in order to do this, I would like to help me at this podium, I'd like to call to this podium to help me make the presentation our dear brother Rashid Baidoun. Now I hope he's not playing somewhere. Is Rashid Baidoun in the room? He's at the game. All right, you lose. Well, then I will make the presentation on his behalf. Where is Rashida? Rashida, come on up. Here is Rashid Baidoun introducing Rashida Tlaib. Now, is there something wrong with that? Rashid and Rashida?
He tells me to keep my signs.
If you want someone to fight in Lansing for this community, then in 2012 we have to send her back to Lansing. She has to go to Lansing. This is a good fighter, a public servant that does good for the city of Detroit. We need lots of Rashida Tlaib in Lansing in order to put this state back to work and Detroit back to work. She needs money in order to be re-elected.
Thank you.
She needs to be supported. She has been endorsed by Aapac before. We urge you and we ask you to please reach your pocket, checkbooks, write some good checks for Rashida Tlaib so we can send her back to Lansing in 2010. Rashid Baidoun.
I myself actually saw her in action at the state legislature, and having someone at the state legislature who's advocating not just for her own constituents, but for all Michigan citizens. That's the legislator we need. We need Rashidas. We need a bunch of Rashidas. And Rashida and I already made a pact. We said that after she's done with her races, she's gonna give me her signs, and I'm just gonna put a check at the A, so it'll be for Rashid. So, with that said, I'd like to present the Public Service Award to Ms. Rashida Tlaib, Michigan State Representative, in recognition and appreciation of her effective leadership and tireless public service.
Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. I was actually going to mention the lawn sign. He really was, I think he's really being truthful about the lawn sign, but I ran, not with my last name Tlaib, but Rashida for rep. So he's really, really very serious about wanting my lawn signs when I'm done. I want to really thank all of you for the last 4 years for investing in me, investing in my leadership, and for your faith and the service that I'm doing in the community I grew up in Southwest Detroit. You know how passionate I am about my community, you know how hard I work, and in many ways it reflects on our community, our need for, to give back to those that need it the most. I fight every day to get somebody's electricity back on. I go and somebody needs a homecoming dress for their daughter because they can't afford it, I go find it. If it's not, you know, somebody that needs their child to be motivated to go to college, I'll have a conversation. I'll have them shadow me in Lansing. If it's the number of things that come up every single day in my community, you'd be surprised. People that can't pay for funerals, people that you know, need help reading their mail because they might be functionally illiterate. You know, they left school to go work at factories and now they're unemployed and they can't find work. That's the kind of things that I do out of my service center, and because of your investment in me and your generosity, I've been able to do that very effectively. But there's a special thanks for Don Eunice, who's known me since I was a kid. Donnie, let me tell you, this guy, I didn't even have to do anything. I just like filed to run, and he was my biggest cheerleader and biggest supporter because of my grandmother, Hajja Shama, and I want to thank him from the bottom of my heart. So Reverend Anthony is exactly right. We want to be able to support leadership, people that are in support of our issues. And I want to tell you a story. When I ran for my second term last year, one of the people that wanted to come be my campaign manager was a resident. She came from outside of the city of Detroit, and she did semester in Detroit, and she worked out of my service center. And Diana said, you know, do you need a campaign manager for your second term? I said, absolutely, are you interested? She said, yes, I am. She was working at a nonprofit organization, a very progressive organization in the city of Detroit, one that you would think had very progressive, same progressive values as many folks that they're serving. And Diana, on her last day at work there, one of the volunteers there said, oh, where are you going, Diana? We're gonna really miss you. And she says, oh, I have a great job. I'm gonna go actually work for my state representative, who happens to be the first Muslim woman ever elected in the Michigan legislature. And she said that so proudly. And she said right after that, she said, they're in our government? I laughed too. I did. And she was wanting to break down in tears because she said it was that one moment that she hears about these moments where people say things that are hateful and racist. And she said, I didn't say anything. But I said, it's okay, Diana, because you're gonna kick butt in my second campaign. And she did, and she got me 80% of the votes. I am an effective leader in Lansing because I have a pool of talent to go to. And one of that talent is Abed Hamoud. Let me tell you, I was working on mortgage fraud. It was a huge issue. And the Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy was telling me that there is no crime of mortgage fraud in the books. I said, you gotta be kidding me. So all these people were getting away with all these kinds of crimes against seniors, doing signing through notaries. I mean, the number of issues. And so I called on Abed. He came to the committee hearing, and I was so proud because I took somebody from our community. He came down and he gave all these examples, and he even answered every single Republican member's answer so well. And guess what? The law got passed last week and signed into law with bipartisan support, and it was my second bill that I've ever gotten passed. So I want to, all of you, be proud of the talent that we have, the way we're raising our children. But remember, the core way we can really change people's outlook of Arab Americans in America and Muslim Americans is through service. Remember, I don't care if you work for a corporation or if you work at a school. No matter what you're doing, make sure every single day you're providing some sort of service, because that's the way we can change people and how they view us. So thank you so much for this award.
And the next time I'm at the podium, Rashida, please remind me to thank Abed Hamoud. Because without Abed Hamoud and few of our community leaders, this organization would not have existed. So Abed, I know that today you are a U.S. attorney, but you are always the leader of this organization. You are always in the heart of this organization. You are always an important asset to this organization and to this community. I know you made us proud at Aapac. You made us proud at the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office, and you are making us proud at the U.S. Attorney's Office. We need more people like you there. And ladies and gentlemen, if you notice that Don Yunus cannot speak, his voice is gone. He was doing some work last Sunday, screaming at Gilmore. And by the way, if you want to know the story about Gilmore, ask the chamber. And meanwhile, I would like really to thank the leaders, the future leaders of our community, the young people who stood on Sunday shouting, shame on you, Gilmore, for removing Helen Thomas Award's name on the journalism program in Wayne State University. And by the way, we will never forgive and we will never forget. You will bring it back, or you are not welcome at this community. No one insult our community and then come and speak to us. No one insult our community and then come and stand before us and give us garbage. Because we are a community that is proud and we respect ourselves. And even if the President of the United States, my dear friend, Wendell Anthony, doesn't come and meet with this community will not support him anymore. We have done nothing to be ashamed of. We are a good citizens of this country and we deserve respect like everybody else. Now I'd like for the youth to please stand so we can recognize them. The ASU, the Arab Student Union, of University of Michigan, Wayne State University, Henry Ford Community College, and listen to this, Fortson High School. These are our leaders. These are my leaders. These are my leaders, and I am proud of them. And with them, we're going to conquer the world. Now, to move on, I promise you it will not be long. I finished my speech. I'd like to call our President, Mariam Bazzi, to come to the podium to make the third presentation.
Now, it is truly an honor for me to be presenting this next award. This award is the Community Service Award, which we are giving to Attorney Zena Al-Hassan. This community has many organizations which serve the diverse needs of the people it represents. It is the collective effort of all these organizations that have helped the Arab American community grow and thrive. And a familiar face you see at just about every organization is that of Zena's. Before I begin to talk about and mention a few of the organizations that she's part of, I'd like to first begin by congratulating her on her recent appointment as the 20th District Court Magistrate as well as the Probation Director. I know that Allen Brothers was sad to see her leave, but the community has gained tremendously. Among the many organizations that Zena is active with, she is on the advisory board of the Arab American Anti-Discrimination Committee. She is Corporation Counsel for the Arab American Women's Business Council. She is on the board of directors for the National Arab American Nurses Association. She is secretary of the Arab American Political Action Committee. She is on the board of directors and deputy treasurer of Child's Hope. Now I can list them all, but those are just a few. Zena is ready, willing, and able to help any organization or any person that ever requests her help. She is a role model for all of us and a role model for myself. We are very lucky to have her, and I would like to give a special thank you to her husband, Muhammad Al-Hassan, for sharing her with us. Zena, would you please come up to the podium? Zena, in recognition and appreciation of your great leadership and your dedicated community service, we would like to give you this award. Thank you.
Maybe we should call Nabi Ayad because he's one of the vice presidents later on. Don't get him in the picture. Thank you. You want to say something?
Good evening. Thank you, Mariam, for the kind words, although Dearborn High will win the game tonight. I'm confident of that. I'm sorry. Assalamu alaikum.
Can we have the award back?
Reverend clergy, honored guests, family, friends, members of the Arab American Political Action Committee, ladies and gentlemen, I am truly honored and humbled to receive the 2011 Aapac Community Service Award. Let me say that I am proud to be but only one member of this community and proud of what we as a whole continue to accomplish year in and year out, bringing forth issues that matter to every one of us in this room, not only as American Arabs, but as Americans. Education, public safety, justice, and our intent to build bridges among all, regardless of race, ethnicity, or creed. Doing so and succeeding on each of these fronts is essential to good American citizenship. We all know that. We are Americans, and I think that's what drives me and each of us here to make real our dreams and that of our parents. The American dream, service to community and country, is as old as the American Revolution, an ongoing revolution of hope, compelling us to seek out where and how to strengthen the foundation beneath us. Democracy is not perfect, nor is it fast-paced, but it has provided us with nearly 250 years of evolution and the incentive to fight for issues that matter. Democracy and service are intertwined, and as the broad Arab revolution of freedom has clearly demonstrated, cannot be suffocated forever. And through our own ongoing American evolution, we see the constant ebb and flow of ideas, debate, and action. Ideas and debate are useless without action. Action, such as finding teachable moments in one's home, most importantly. Innovation in government, serving justice in the courtroom, and a public forum which brings about positive, broad-based change. Nobody can do everything, but everyone can do something. Many in this room tonight are deserving of this honor, but you may be surprised that I am most gratified in receiving it, not as an attorney or a magistrate, but as a mother. In balancing my life, I must always thank my husband, Mohammed, for his constant love, encouragement, and support. He is selfless in what he provides to me and our children, and in embracing my family, community, and country, I am reminded of the thoughts of Harding Carter Jr., the Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter who said, "There are two lasting bequests we can give to our children. One is roots, the other is wings." My roots have inspired me to go the extra mile for what matters most to me: family, career, and service. And it is with wings that I pray, God willing, that my children succeed in their own way to make this world a better place when it is their chance to do so. Thank you so much.
A few years ago, actually I think it's been more than a few years now, I received a phone call from a gentleman in Chicago. He was interested in making a film about one of our football teams, and we spoke for quite a while, and I was intrigued by his passion and the enthusiasm that he had for this project. He wanted to make a documentary for a few years, and there was a sense of urgency now because, as you know, this film was about our football team that was predominantly Muslim, and this was a team that was fasting during the month of Ramadan. And this wasn't going to happen again for quite some time. So he wanted to do this film, and it wouldn't be relevant if he didn't do it soon. So like any story here in Dearborn, it wasn't going to be easy. And he tried to go in through the front door, but he was met with some resistance from the administration. So it took a little bit of effort. And fortunately for us, we had a board meeting that was scheduled, and I managed to get him to drive up here from Chicago, and the board had agreed to allow him to speak to them reluctantly. And he was really passionate, and it really showed through. And the board finally agreed to sign the documents that needed to be signed and allowed him to make the film. I tell you this story because I want you to understand what Rashid went through to make this film. It was an uphill battle from the beginning. Tonight is another example of that. This Aapac dinner was scheduled almost a year ago, and we decided to give Rashid this award months ago. And who would have known last week that Fordson would make the playoffs and play against Dearborn tonight? You know, everything has been an uphill battle. So I have nothing but respect for Rashid, because while some of us may have been persuaded by the pressures of the film industry to put a commercial spin on this documentary to make it more appealing to the mainstream media, he didn't. You know, he remained true to his beliefs, and he produced a film that depicted this community for what it was. Nothing more and nothing less. He produced a film that allowed the world to spend 90 minutes with families and friends that they may never had an opportunity to meet, to get a glimpse into part of the world that some may never had a chance to experience, to see that when all is said and done, that we all want the same things. We want our kids to get a good education, that we want them to be productive members of society, that we want them to be happy, that we want them to be healthy, and that we just want everyone to get along. You know, Rashid, that while some of us are willing to put time and energy into causes that we believe in, Rashid not only put thousands and thousands of hours of his time into this project, he put hundreds of thousands of his own personal money into this project. And he did it not because he wants to get rich. He did it because he wanted to enrich the world with our story. And so, Rashid, for that, we commend you. And I'd like to call Rashid Ghazi to the podium. Ahmad, would you please join us?
Ahmad.
Miriam, please join us. So we'd like to present this special tribute award to Mr. Rashid Ghazi, Director and Executive Producer of Fortson, Faith, Fasting, and Football, which is still being shown not only across the country, but it's being shown across the world now. In recognition and appreciation of his great leadership, his dedicated efforts to share an important part of our Arab American story with the rest of the world.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just 1 second, let me put my seat.
And in case I forgot something, Ahmad, did you want to add anything?
No, you said it all. You said it all. You've covered it all. Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. I'll say a few words, but before I start, I think Osama Siblani is here, and how many of you have seen the movie and heard him speak in the movie? So, you know, given his voice, my wife is we should do bedtime stories with Osama Siblani, because his voice is so rich. And then the little boy, Red Riding Hood, the wolf. So, I had to say that because his voice popped out of the screen every time we heard it. I want to thank the Arab American Political Action Committee. The work that you guys do here is impressive. I travel all over the country. I'm in Chicago. And the way your community is active and you stand for the issues that you believe in, you support each other, you fundraise for each other, and you promote each other is impressive. So congratulations to all of you on behalf of this organization. As a Chicagoan coming to Dearborn, I've been so impressed. So thank you, Osama, Abed Hamoud, and Amy Blackburn. I really appreciate everything that you guys have done. Back after September 11th, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Sunni, live in Chicago, moved to the U.S. when I was 2 with my dad and mom. I really thought there was a disconnect between who Muslims were and how we were portrayed. And I always had said in giving marketing speeches, this is even before September 11th, you know, our spokespeople are Ayatollah Khomeini, Saddam Hussein, Muhammad Gaddafi, all of those people. And if you do marketing, which is what I do for a living, I don't do making films for a living, I do marketing, I consult with large corporations, we have brand ambassadors and spend a lot of time marketing our brand. And if you look at the brand of Islam, which I was mainly focusing on, our brand is run by a lot of people who shouldn't be representing the religion or the people. And I thought if you look at the Arab community in particular, that happens as well. The crazies are always highlighted, and the 99.9% of normal people never are. And as a child growing up, I remember watching Roots, and I never understood what slavery was until I saw Roots. You know, I read the Diary of Anne Frank in 6th grade, and I never understood what the Holocaust was until that diary humanized it for me. And too many times we tend to look at numbers instead of looking at individuals. And if you watch the Olympic Games, the Olympics are mainly targeted towards females. They spend half the Olympics talking about the athletes, the other half showing the athletes. Why? Because they want to humanize them. And I thought the media never really humanized Muslims, especially Arabs. And that was never more apparent to me in the, in the aftermath of September 11th. So I was looking for something to do. And a friend of mine told me about a high school team named Fortson. I used to televise, I still televise all of ESPN's high school football games. We got a game with Barry Sanders' kid on TV tonight. We can't, unfortunately, televise in Michigan because your state doesn't allow high school games to be on TV for whatever reason. So we've never actually come here for a live game. So the politicians in the room, maybe you want to address that at some point, because we'd love to come here and put your games on. But he told me about the school named Fortson. They were in the semifinals and state playoffs in November of 2004. And I was blown away because I didn't know the school existed. I didn't know it had a majority Muslim population. And I didn't know the kids were fasting and playing football. And I thought, what an inspirational tale to tell for all Americans and for us to use football as a conduit to kind of get into some deeper issues about religion and race and the American dream. And I contacted the coach then, and Imad, to his credit, said yes immediately. The head coach at that time said no, and I think one of the reasons he may have said no was I told him I wanted to name the movie Football Jihad. And I think that scared him. And my goal was to reclaim the word jihad, which as we know is struggle. It's not necessarily holy war, so it was the football players' struggle in their life and the community's struggle. So I got turned down when Fawad came. He turned me down for a couple of years, and he finally said yes. If it's good for he said basically I don't want anything, but if it's good for this community is what Fawad Zaban said, then let's do it. So then I got to the board, and the board turned me down. So Fawad put me in touch with Brian Musallam and Amy Blackburn, and really without Brian Musallam and Amy Blackburn working on this film, we wouldn't have been here. And I met with the board, And to their credit, not only did they agree to let me do the movie once I actually spoke to them, one of the board members likes golf. My daughter's 11. She's one of the best golfers in the country, so that kind of eased the tension, and we got a yes. But to the credit of the board and to Brian Winston and David Mustonen, the school system, including Dearborn High, was nothing but supportive. They stayed out of our way, let us do what we do, and we made the film. And I've gotten a lot of credit, and I've gotten awards across the country, won a number of film festivals, but I give credit to the families of the kids who opened their hearts and their homes to us. The Bedoun family, the Abu Amira family, the Bakr Said family, the Hoseki family. And to all of you, we called Ron Ayman, he gave us an interview. Osama Siblani gave us an interview. So many of you gave us interviews, and we appreciate that because we couldn't tell your story unless you trusted us to come in here and to tell your story. The last thing I want to say is, when we made the film, Brian Musallam said to me, it's funny because you're a Sunni Indian guy, what's your interest in a bunch of Shia Arabs? You know, and Michael Moore said to me, he goes, I can't believe that a bunch of Chicagoans wanted to make a movie about a bunch of Michigonians, if there's a word like Michigonians. And for me, it wasn't about Sunni or Shia. It wasn't about Indian or Arab or Michigan or Illinois. It was about being an American. And I thought your story was a phenomenal American story that needed to be told and shared not only with this people in this country, but with people all over the world. And back in 2004, there was a young man named Osama when I was doing a pre-interview, just to meet some of the kids, and he said, why do you want to tell our story? Nobody cares about who we are. No one wants to hear what we have to say. And the tone in his voice made me even more determined to come to your community and to share this story. And I'm happy to say, I'm a Muslim, I made the movie. Our producers, Usher and Busman, who worked really hard, are Muslim, but our writer, Ruth Lightman, was Jewish. Our photographers were Christian. Our editor was Catholic. Our musician, I wanted a great musician. I was listening to a movie, and I'm like, this music is unbelievable. Who did it? A guy named Joel Goodman. So I go, how's Joel Goodman going to feel about doing a movie about this? So I called him up and I sent him the DVD. He goes, unbelievable, I love it. And Joel Goodman, a Jewish guy, scored the entire film. And that could only happen in this country that we live in. So it wasn't just about a movie about Muslims by Muslims, it was a movie by Americans about Americans. And I thank you for the award. I thank you for all of your support, and God bless you all.
Okay, you can applaud for me taking the microphone from Osama. I have to give you an update. It's 1817, so it's good when I'm up there.
Makes no difference. Dearborn Heights, Fortson, same. They are all our kids. We're very proud of them. And plus, I did not really know that Rashid Ghazi is a Sunni, otherwise I would not have given him an interview. And anytime you want to tell a bedtime story, movie, I'm available. But this time is for money. And you know what? I know you're surprised that you're getting this award. The only reason that you're getting this award because you have interviewed me and Abed. Because the idea here is Abed and I run everything. Well, we have one more. I know that we told you it's a short program. So far, we've probably maybe 1 minute, 5 minutes, over 1 hour. The final thing that we would like to do is we would like to have a recognition for a family in our community that has really suffered a lot. But also, they have done a lot to serve our community and the state of Michigan out of their suffering. I'd like to help me introduce the family. I'd like to call on attorney Tariq Baidoun. Come to the podium.
Yes. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum. Since I'm the only man standing between you and dinner, well, with Osama, of course, I'm going to say go Fortson and go sit down. No, I'm joking. We would be remiss if we didn't recognize the Amr family. Several of the institutions in this room have done so throughout the year. As the legislative chair of the Arab American Political Action Committee, I want to anecdotally refer to the efforts over the past 26 years of this family. I'm 27 years old. I believe the paper, the Arab American News, is 27 years old. The Amr family has been fighting for all of us as Americans and Michiganders for 26 years now. In 1985, the process began where the Amr's children were taken away from them unjustly by the state of Michigan. And they were crushed and they were devastated. Unfortunately, at the time, the community was not as strong as it is today, but they stayed the course. They were steadfast, and they are the beacon of hope for this entire community. Since then, the Amers, with the help of former State Representative Gino Polidori, introduced an act. It was Public Act. It was House Bill 4118. It was passed in 2010. Since our last dinner, it is the major legislative accomplishment for this community, but it affects the entire community. Basically what it says, the gist of it, is that if a state wants to take away a child, okay, and we know how much we value family and everyone else does, that state has to prove a number of things. And it has heightened the requirement for that, but it also says that they have to look at the family and the emotional status and the best interest of the child and give preference to the family. And that was an extremely...
Who was the president of Aapac. Good evening, Mariam.
Good evening.
Could you please tell us what does Aapac stands for and how long it's been serving the community?
Well, Aapac stands for the Arab American Political Action Committee. This is the 14th year that it's been in existence. It was started by a group of Arab Americans back, and I believe that my math is right, it was 1998 or 1997. The purpose of Aapac is to advance the causes of Arab Americans both here and abroad. It's to advance their causes through legislation, through political activism, and through supporting candidates that support Arab Americans and supporting Arab American candidates as well.
We noticed tonight at the dinner that there's been a newsletter. As we see, there's a newsletter. It's been put on the table, and I think it's been published by Aapac, and it shows the candidates has been elected, or actually that Aapac is supporting them. In my understanding, how does the process work?
Well, the newsletter and our endorsement process is the heart of Aapac. What happens, how the endorsement process works, is a candidate would have to request an endorsement from Aapac, and this has to be a written request. Once we receive the written request, then the endorsement chair will schedule an interview with them, and they'll bring them to an endorsement interview. There will be a small selection of Aapac members, as well as members of the community are welcome to come in, talk to them, ask them questions. After that endorsement interview, we then have an endorsement vote. It's usually a week or a few weeks later, and all members of Aapac are welcome to come and vote on whether to endorse or not to endorse that person, or if it's a proposal, to vote no on a proposal or to vote yes on a proposal. All members of the community are welcome to come to all of these events, but only Aapac members in good standing can vote.
We noticed in the newsletter that there's been only 3 candidates that Aapac is supporting, although probably last year or before there were more than that. Could you please explain to us why?
Well, every year all depends on who's running. This year is a year of local elections, and so because it's a local year and there's just a few elections going on, we're going to only be supporting a smaller number of people. Now, last year we endorsed, I believe it was 46 people. So every year, the amount of people that are endorsed all depends on the amount of seats that are up and the type of election season it is.
Does the Aapac works only on the local level or international or statewide?
It works in all levels. We endorse on all levels of government, local, state, and national. We've endorsed in presidential elections. We've had people from presidential campaigns sending people on their behalf to our events and speaking at our events. It just so happens that this year is a local year, but I anticipate next year being a very busy year for Aapac with all the elections and seats that are coming, especially with it being a presidential race.
Was there any difficulties to pick those candidates and try to support them?
Well, I can tell you that this year was actually very heated. There was a lot of arguing. There was a lot of discussion. And everyone's very respectful throughout the process. And it is sometimes very difficult. You have people supporting different candidates, but at the end of the day, we collectively make a decision that we believe is in the best interest of the community. And so we're very happy with the people who we've endorsed, and we believe they'll do great things for the community.
What advice would you give to the community in regards to the election?
Get out and vote. Please get out and vote. People tend to think that just because this is a local year and there isn't a president on the ballot or a congressman, that it's a year that they can sit it out. This is the most important year to vote, because local elections, the decisions that are made at the local level are the ones that affect us most directly. And I encourage everyone to please get out and vote. You can make a difference. You will make a difference if you go to the polls.
And we add our voice with you and encourage everybody to vote. And if they have any questions about any candidate, they can go ahead and call Aapac and ask the questions. Thank you, Mariam, for being with us tonight, and wish you good luck.
Thank you very much for having me.
Tonight we have the director of Fortune Movie, Mr. Rashid Ghazi. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
Tonight you received an award. What does the award mean to you?
Well, the award from the Arab American Political Action Committee is a phenomenal award for us to get. We've been honored across the country, but to come to Dearborn, where we based the film, where we made the film, and told the story of this community, for this community to honor us is special, because usually they know the story the best, they know the insides of what happened, and for them to tell us that they liked our film means a lot.
What kind of difficulties did you face while filming the Fortune movie?
Well, initially we faced difficulties getting the rights. We had to convince the community over a period of 5 or 6 years to allow us to come in and film, mainly because I think there was a little bit of a distrust with the media. Once we did that, the filming here went relatively easily over 10 or 12 days. The bigger challenges that we had is we put a trailer out there that got over 140,000 hits on YouTube as a preview of the movie. And once we had made that trailer, the expectations for the actual film were so high that it took us an extra year to complete it, because we wanted to make sure that the film matched the expectations of this community and of the trailer because of what we had done already.
As a director, the Arab American believe that it's very hard for them to be involved in the movie industry, especially in Hollywood. So what's your opinion about it?
Well, I think it's changing. And I think it's changing for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you look at the film festival circuit, there are a number of film festivals in the Middle East that are sponsored by American film festival makers. So there's this collaboration that's beginning between Arab Muslim investors and between the American film industry. I think the second thing is that the Arab population has only gotten into writing and film, or the Muslim population, over the past 10 or 15, 20 years. And so as more Arabs make a presence in the media and showcase their talents, I think there'll be more acceptance. I think the other thing is, given what's happening with the Arab Spring in the Middle East, that the topic of Arabs and Islam and that culture is just beginning to really explode and to get a greater grasp in the American subconsciousness. And that, as that happens, the topics of making movies about Arabs, or including Arabs in the movie industry, will continue to expand. So I think it's been tough in the past, but I think the opportunities for the future are almost limitless.
You mentioned it during the speech tonight that we are all Americans, helping each other, supporting each other, no matter which religion or nationality, anything we belong to. Do you feel this in our real life?
I think so. I think what you've got to do is you've got to separate the minority from the majority. And so if you look at this country, there's always going to be a minority that wants to create a polarizing society. But the majority of people, I've lived in America for 44 years, the majority of people in this country are welcoming, they're opening, and I can tell you this, the responses that we've gotten to our film from non-Arabs, non-Muslims, we received a standing ovation in Traverse City, 550 people. I've had American Christians come up with tears in their eyes saying, I never understood this story. I've had American Jews come to me and say, how can we help you with this story, because we think it's such an important story to tell. So my own personal experience has been that there have been a lot of people wanting to reach out because of what this film means and because they believe in equality and fairness for all, including Arab Muslims.
As a director, what other movies did you direct beside the Fortune movie?
You know, this is my directorial debut. I've executive produced and produced a basketball reality series that was 65 episodes. I've done a number of sports shows, live event shows, but Fortune was my first foray into feature films, and I mainly did it because I thought it was such an important story to tell that I really wanted to take a hands-on approach in working on it.
What's the other? Do you have any other future movies you're planning to do?
Well, right now, we're spending the next year getting Fortune out, creating awareness for the film, and trying to recoup the investment that we put into it. After that, we've got some ideas, but we're still working on those and developing them, not ready to really launch any new ideas yet.
We noticed that the Arabic Spring did affect a lot of Middle East countries. Are we going to see any kind of these movies coming up, like documentary movie you're going to be involved in?
That's a good question, and possibility somewhere down the road, yes. I'm actually in some conversations with some people about possibly doing a movie on the Arab Spring, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens over the next 6 months. But I think the story behind that, not only just a story of what's happened in the past 6 months, but the stories that happened over the past 60 years, is one that needs to be told to put a backdrop as to why this happened. And so that could be a very interesting topic to look at.
A lot of the youth would like to be involved in the movie industry. What do you recommend them, or what are the steps they have to take in order to be qualified?
Well, I think, my background's one of marketing and advertising, but my family's background has been one of writing and newspaper and journalism. So I tell any young person who wants to get involved in the industry, it depends what angle do you want. If you want to be a producer or a director, if you want to be a director or a writer, go to film school, learn how to write, learn how to read, speak, study, understand, and then start by volunteering on film projects that are happening in Michigan or other areas. I would tell you, if you want to be a producer or you want to get behind the business angle of it, then get into finance and learn how to raise funds, and then try to get and go work for a Hollywood studio. But for any kid, what I'd basically tell them is you're only limited by your own limitations, meaning try hard, work hard, dream big, and then take time to build your career. So you may not have success in the first year, 5 years, 10 years, but over a career you will find success if you stick with whatever you want to do, whether that be filmmaking, writing, production, distribution, or another career.
For those who would like to be a musician or like singers or actress, what should they do?
I'm not any one of those, but I think just like if you want to be a doctor, you've got to go to medical school for 8 to 10 years. If you want to be a musician or a singer, you've got to go and practice your trade. And I think, especially with singing, because it's a certain talent that you have to have, listen to the experts and see what they tell you before you decide to go pursue that. But for other careers, I think people are successful as they want to be if they put the time, energy, and effort into it, and if they're willing to take chances and take risks.
Thank you very much for being with us tonight, and it's indeed a great movie that we watched, and we wish you a good luck.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Among the guests, we do have Dr. Syed Taj, who was the City Council of 2008, Canton, Michigan. Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening to you. It's very nice to be here, and I'm really thankful that you have invited me for the interview.
Good evening, Dr. Syed, and we are so happy to see you here tonight with us. And among the guests, we do have tonight Dr. Syed Taj, who is the City Council of 2008. Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you.
Nice to see you tonight here, and I do see that you are running for U.S. Congress this year.
That is true, but the election is in 2012, and the campaign has just started. I've registered with the Federal Election Commission, and I'm going to run on the new 11 district in 2012, which essentially runs from Canton to Troy and Birmingham and City of Bloomfield Hills.
So being as a physician and going into politics, is anything related between them?
Oh, it's definitely, there is a lot of relationship. We always deal with public. And obviously when we deal with healthcare, this is a burning issue right now with every citizen in the country. And I don't think there could be anyone better than me to tell them what's in the new Affordable Care Act and what's lacking in it, what we need to improve in it.
Okay, what the programs or the things that you would like to improve or to ask for?
Well, at the present time, the foremost thing is jobs, jobs, and jobs. The country cannot improve, cannot be the same world number one until we improve the job situation and economy in this country.
We wish you good luck, Dr. Taj, and we encourage everybody to go and select Dr. Taj for his good cause. Thank you for being with us tonight, sir.
Thank you very much. It was very kind of you to interview me.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Could you please introduce yourself, please?
Reverend Wendell Anthony, President, Detroit Branch, NAACP, and pastor of Fellowship Chapel in Detroit.
Congratulations on your award for the community service, and what does this award mean to you?
Well, first of all, let me thank Aapac, the Arab American Political Action Committee, for presenting me this award. I'm very humbled by it. The award always presents two things for me. One, for work that has been done, and the second point is for work that is yet to be done. There's a lot of work in our community that needs to be done. One of the themes that you have tonight is strength through unity. We must unite around common interests. One of the things that I like about Aapac is that you are supporting people who support your interests, and we must do that. That's why it's important to support political and social leaders that speak to the hearts and needs of people. We need jobs, we need economic development, we need justice, we need laws that protect us and give us dignity rather than divide us and disrespect us. That's why when I think about next year in 2012 and the big election that we have, when I think about people talking about 999, which means 000, when I think about health care, when I think about immigration laws, when I think about education, when I think about health care, when I think about roads, I support the president's jobs bill. I think that he's done an excellent job, and I hope that all of us can get around the issue of supporting people that support us. So I really want to thank Aapac for giving me this award. It gives me the inspiration to go out and do even more and to bring our two communities together rather than to keep them separate and divided.
Do you see the Arab American are well involved with the legal system way enough?
I think all of us can be more involved with the legal system. You know, we have a great constitution. When it's enforced and engaged, it gives us dignity and protection. And it's for all people, not just a few people. That's why the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, is the organization. It's not the National Association for the Advancement of Certain People. That's the difference. We want to bring all people together. That means African Americans, Europeans, Arabs, Jews, Native Americans, Latinos, Asians. America is a pot that still needs to melt so that all of us can get the benefit of that lady who stands in the water in New York who said, "Send me your tired, your huddled masses yearning to be free." That's why we're here in many cases. Those of us who have not had that as an opportunity must use the law, must use the courts, must use political office, you must use our institutions to make sure that all of us are treated the way Dr. King said, that we ultimately and finally can be judged not by the color of our skin or by our ethnic derivation, but by our character and our particular American orientation. If we do that, then all of us can be free, we can be bona fide, and we can have power.
As a person who's been awarded tonight for the community service, what's the advice would you give to the residents?
Don't stop serving. Service is the way to greatness. As a pastor, I know that if you really want to be great, you must first be a servant. And one never stops serving. You serve until you can serve no more. If you really want to be great, be a servant.
And we also recommend everybody to follow your steps and be there for their community and help them. Congratulations again for your award tonight, and thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you so very much. God bless you.
Tonight we have Ashida Talib, who won the award of the public service. How are you, Ashida?
Good, how are you?
What does the award mean to you?
This is a public service award from the Arab American Political Action Committee. It's truly an honor and privilege that I'm being honored from some of my community leaders, people that have supported and invested in me in the last 4 years while I've been in office. And it's just been really privileged to be recognized for all the work that we've, my team and I have been doing for the families I represent in the city of Detroit.
Will this award gonna encourage you to work more and work for the community?
Absolutely. It is always motivational and inspirational to be honored by so many of my friends and folks that have supported me from the beginning. It's very, very nice.
What's your upcoming plans you're planning to do?
Well, I have a very tough election coming up in this coming summer, so I'm trying to raise money for that. It's going to be extremely difficult because my district has changed because of redistricting. So I'm going to try to hit the ground and go door to door and try to win my next election.
We encourage everybody to elect Rashida Tlaib for her great cause and the work she have done, the good work actually she did for the community, and wish you good luck, Rashida.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
مساء الخير. بنحب نرحب بالسيد أسامة السبلاني مدير تحرير صحيفة صدى الوطن بديبون ميشيغان. أهلا وسهلا أستاذ أسامة.
شكرا ست عفاف.
ممكن تحكي لنا شوي أو معلومة شوية عن منظمة ايباك؟
ايباك هي اللجنة العربية الأمريكية للعمل السياسي، هي مؤسسة تعني بالشأن السياسي، يعني مسجل لدى السلطات المحلية والفيدرالية للعمل في الانخراط في العمل السياسي. يعني هي مؤسسة بتجمع أموال من أشخاص مش من شركات، حسب القوانين المرعية بالشأن السياسي، لأنه إذا كان مؤسسة سياسية يعني لا يمكن أن تكون غير نفعية، أو لا يمكن تكون بأنها تأخذ تبرعات من شركات، لازم تأخذ تبرعات من أشخاص، وبالتالي هي بتدرس المرشحين، أعضاء بيدرسوا المرشحين وبيصوتوا على أي مرشح هن بيحبوا يدعموه. إذا جاب المرشح أكثر من الثلثين بيدعموه، بيخوضوا معركة انتخابية بالجالية العربية ليحصلوا له أصوات على أساس أنه يدعموه بحملته الانتخابية وينجح في الموقع اللي عم يترشح له، إن كان عضو في مجلس النواب المحلي أو الفدرالي أو في مجلس البلدي أو في مجلس التربوي أو في أي مكان انتخابي.
طيب، لاحظنا من خلال المنشورة اللي توزعت على الطاولات اليوم انه قمتوا بدعم 3 شخصيات بالنسبة للانتخابات. كيف يتم تنقية هؤلاء الشخصيات؟
اولا المرشح اللي بده دعم ايباك حسب النظام الداخلي لازم يبعث رسالة خطية إن كانت بالفاكس أو بالإيميل أو بالبريد العادي بيطلب الدعم المنظمة، وهذا السبب اللي حطيناه في البايلو، يعني في البرنامج الداخلي، النظام الداخلي، لحتى ما نروح ندعم نحن مؤسسة أو ندعم مرشح يرجع هذا المرشح تحت الضغط الإسرائيلي أو اللوبي اليهودي يتراجع ويقول إنه أنا ما طلبت دعمكم. لذلك نحن نطلب إنه هو يطلب دعمنا، إذا كان بحاجة لأصواتنا فهو لازم يقول لنا إنه أنا بحاجة لأصواتكم خطيا لحتى ما يرجع يتراجع عنا بعدين، لأنه في بعض المؤسسات العربية وخاصة جمعية الخريجين العرب من حوالي 30 سنة دعمت أحد الرؤساء المرشحين للرئاسة الأمريكيين وأعطته $50,000 واخذها واجى حكي عندهم، كان بعده مرشح مبتدئ. يعني عندما اصبح المرشح عن الحزب الديمقراطي ضغطوا عليه اللوبي اليهودي والاسرائيلي فتراجع وقال انه انا ما طلبت منه انه اعطوني واخذت المصاري وهيدي المصاري رجعت لهم اياها. لذلك نحن انطلاقا من حمايه الجاليه من اي ضغوطات خارجيه عليها، نحن بنطلب من اي مرشح بده دعمنا انه يعطينا رساله خطيه يطلب دعم اللجنه العربيه الامريكيه للعمل السياسي في حملته الانتخابيه. هلا هذا الطلب يدرس من قبل لجنة الدعم، بيرجع بنقدمها نعمل مقابلة، ولجنة الدعم بتعمل ريكومنديشن يعني اقتراحاتها للهيئة العامة. الهيئة العامة بتصوت بالثلثين أو أكثر حتى تدعم أي مرشح لأي منصب في أي مكان.
طيب، بالنسبة للمرشحين العرب بيحسوا
دعم هو مش دعم بس كلامي، يعني والله نحن دعمنا فلان من الناس أو دعمنا مرشح إلى منصب معين، لا، نحن من بعد ما ندعم المرشح يعني بنحط أموال وبنعمل حملة انتخابية داخل الجالية العربية. هذا المنشور اللي شفتيه اليوم على هيدا طلع منه آلافات إلى كل المسجلين للانتخاب من العرب الأمريكيين في مدينة ديربون وديربون هايس، لأنه هودي اللي فيهم هلأ يعني مراحل انتخابية. لذلك نحن مش بس بنقول إنه نحن دعمناك، لا، نحن بندعم فعلا على الأرض. بعدين يوم الانتخاب عندنا متطوعين بيوقفوا على أبواب الاقتراع معهم لائحة بيدعوا العرب الأمريكيين ينتخبوا. نبعت تليفونات بعشرات الآلاف يعني من خلال شركات أمريكية باللغة العربية والإنجليزية لكل المسجلين للاقتراع من العرب الأمريكيين، بندعيهم إنه يطلعوا وينتخبوا للمرشحين المدعومين من حملة ايباك.
بس نلاحظ ان المرشحين العرب عم يجدوا صعوبة بحصد أصوات من الإخوان العرب وبيعطوا أصواتهم للأجانب اعتبارا انه هن ممكن ما ينجحوا المرشح العربي. كيف ممكن احنا نغير هالصورة؟
هلا طبعا هي في حملة تشويه لصورة العرب والمسلمين في أمريكا، وهذه شغلة منا يعني إنه نحن هلا عم نخترعها أو اكتشفناها حديثا، يعني هذا شيء معروف يعني، ونحن بحاجة إنه ندعم بعض المرشحين. مش ضروري يكون المرشح عربي بالمناسبة يعني حتى يكون جيد، ممكن إنه يكون معظم المرشحين اللي نحن اللي دعمناهم هن منهم عرب ولكن هن داعمين لقضايا العرب. ونحن غيرنا المجلس التربوي في ديربون من مرشحين غير عرب، ولكن هنالك مرشح دعمناه نحن من سنتين ونجح، هو اسمه حسين بري، بدك اكثر ما يكون عربي اكثر من هيك، الاسم حسين وبري، ونجح بالانتخابات، يعني خاض حملة انتخابية محترمة ونجح. هي عملية الانتقال من انه من مواطن على الهامش الى مواطن في صلب المواطنية بحاجة الى العمل، يعني خاصة العرب الامريكيين.
طيب شو النصيحة اللي بتحب توجهها للعرب الأمريكان اللي عايشين بديبون أو بميشيغان بالنسبة للانتخابات؟
أنا بوجه نصيحة لكل العرب الأمريكيين الموجودين في كل أنحاء الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية في أي منطقة حتى لو كانت نائية من أمريكا. نحن بحاجة إنه المشاركة الكثيفة والمشاركة الفعالة، وبانه نكون نحن فعلا وقت نحن بنروح بنصوت بندرس المرشح وبنعرف انه هذا المرشح اذا كان منيح مش مثل الجاليه العربيه، منيح للوطن الامريكي، ونحن بالنهايه مواطنين امريكيين، ونحن عندنا يعني واجب انتخابي تجاه وطننا اللي اسمه امريكا، وعندنا حقوق كمان، وهذه الحقوق لا يمكن انها تنعطى لنا اذا ما عملنا وفعلنا واجباتنا.
شكرا جزيلا استاذ اسامه، ونتمنى لكم دائما التوفيق.
شكرا لك انت، شكرا لسكاي تي في.
To call Nabi Ayad, Attorney Nabi Ayad and Muna. Come on in. When I told you earlier that we will never forgive, we will never forget, I meant it. Please sit down. These people suffered a great loss, but this community did not forget and will never forgive. And that's why one of our brightest attorneys, Nabi Ayad and Associates, have filed a lawsuit in federal court that was heard 3 weeks ago to reopen the case so we can try those who did us harm and who stole our kids and gave them away. We will not rest. We will not rest until this justice is done to this family and to this community, and it will never happen again to any other community, regardless of their faith, regardless of their national origin. But we have to really say thank you from the bottom of our heart for Rihab and Ahmed Amir, for them fighting all the way and sometimes by themselves, never gave up until they passed the Amir Act that prohibits any agency to do to any other family what has been already done for them. Thank you, Rihab and Ahmed. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. And thank you, Nabi and Mona. And thank you, Tariq. Now I'm gonna call every awardee. Reverend Anthony, please come on to the podium. Please stay here, Mona. I'd like to call on Bob Ficano and on our commissioners, Gary Wonchak, the president of the commission, Diane Webb, Tom Berry, all the elected official leaders. I'm afraid, George, please come on to the podium. All the awardees, please come forward. Every elected official, please. I don't want to, and our community leaders. And I would like to thank, in particular, from our community leaders, 2 people who have always been supportive to this community. And I meant it, Ali Jawad and Sheikh Aoun. Thank you for always being there for our community. And we have one in the room, we have a man in the room that is very important. He just walked in. And I am of the Lebanese American Heritage Club former magistrate, Salim Salami. Please come forward. Azam, I don't need to invite you, man. Without you, the picture will not be complete. Come on in. Before I forget, I would like to thank Ahmad Hamad. Where is Ahmad? Ahmad, please come on in. And Zuhair. And Shaker. I wanted to thank all of you, and I wish that all of you here, all of you are leaders, and all of you are important. I want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts as community and as Aapac members for honoring us every year, spending your money and coming and spending this evening with us. God bless you, and thank you for the awardee. You deserve it. You are the best. We love you. And Jamal Dakour, please, Islamic Center of America. I told you, community leaders, please come forward. I don't want to keep calling on you. If I miss someone, I don't want to hear it after that. This picture is to honor our awardee and the Aapac member. And by the way, Mariam Bezzi, you are an excellent president. You beat us all the way. You are fantastic. You are my president. God bless you. And thank you very much. God bless you. We'll see you next year. Same time, same place. And Habib, What do we have to say, Habib? We always miss your delicious food. Thank you for the service. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You did a great job. You make us laugh.
Diane Webb and Gary Wanchek, we need your leadership in order to get Wayne County back to work.